Hey there, in this video I'm going to show you how to create one of the beautiful posters on Swisted.com. I'll be doing the David Bowie poster, which involves both subtract booleans and also blend modes. You can actually download the Swisted files, which I provided a link for, by going to bit.ly/swisted-files, or you can go straight to swisted.com, click on the David Bowie poster, and right-click and choose copy. We're going to create a new file and then paste the image in there. And notice we've set the sizes. And so we're just going to drag over a frame and set it to the exact same size. All right, and I've locked the frame by pressing Command-Shift-L or Control-L. So that means I can't move the image anymore. So I'm going to start by pressing T and then clicking right next to David Bowie and then typing David Bowie. And we are going to choose the Swisted font, which we should have already downloaded from the file I provided. So you can press K to scale and then just drag the top left corner, and it looks like we got a pretty good match. Next, I'm going to adjust the kerning to get it almost spot on. Now I'm just going to duplicate this text over to create the rest of the text. So you can hold Option and drag, or press Command or Control D to duplicate. We're going to move it into place, scale it down to roughly the right size, and type "and the." So I'm going to move it into place, try to get the A lined up, and get to the right size. So press K again, scale up, and there we go. Next, I'm going to duplicate it again. This time I'm going to change it to Friday first. Press K, scale down, and try to get it lined up the best we can. Now, how are we going to create these two overlapping rings? Well, first we're going to click on the frame and press Command D to duplicate the frame itself. And I'm going to use one of them just for a frame of reference. Next, I'm going to press O for the circle tool or the ellipse tool. I'm going to hold Option or Alt and Shift and drag out from the center to create our larger circle. All right, and then I'm using the arrow keys on the keyboard just to adjust it into place. So now I'm going to select my circle and I'm going to sample the cyan color on the right by pressing I on the keyboard and then clicking on that blue. But now we can't really see through it, and that's because we need to change the blend mode. So I'm going to go over to here where it says pass through under layer and change that to multiply. Now we get that kind of transparent ink looking effect. However, since we have the image behind it, it's going to look a little darker temporarily. And so now what I'm doing is I'm duplicating that circle by selecting it, pressing Command D, and then holding Option and Shift and dragging in towards the middle. Next, I'm going to select both the big and the small circle, go up here, and then select Subtract. And that cuts the little circle out of the big circle. And you'll notice it created a little group here called Subtract. So now I'm going to actually duplicate that and then change the color of this bottom one to magenta. All right, and now we have roughly the same effect. However, since we have the image turned on below it, it's looking a lot darker than it is. Also, I think they're using a slight off-white for their background. So I've selected frame, and now I'm sampling the color of their poster, and yes, indeed, it is slightly off-white. And I'm going to turn that back off, and since we didn't compensate for the slightly darker background, we need to readjust our colors. So I'm going to select the cyan layer, which is on the bottom, and choose the actual cyan, and then I'm going to change it to normal. Now, since the magenta is overlapping the cyan, I'm going to sample. I'm actually going to manually adjust the color until we get to roughly the same color on the right. Which to me, that's good enough. And now we have our two posters. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial.